While praising Republican mega donor Miriam Adelson at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, Donald Trump once again insulted military veterans who have been wounded or killed. Take a look.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's very... And they're rated equal.
Now, according to Department of Defense rules, the Medal of Honor is awarded to service members who distinguish themselves through conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty. But the Adelsons gave Trump money, which you could argue is much more heroic. Back in 2018, Trump awarded Miriam, wife of deceased megadonor Sheldon Adelson, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The White House announcement about the award noted Adelson's philanthropy, particularly toward Jewish causes and research to prevent, reduce, or eliminate disabling and life-threatening diseases. But let's be honest, she really got that award for contributing to Trump's campaign and Trump super PACs. So as she's continuing to bankroll Trump right now, he is in an emotional downward spiral. Back in July, he had an aide send messages to Miriam Adelson on his behalf. The texts complained about the people running her super PAC, Preserve America, which she has been pouring millions of dollars into in support of Trump. At the time, Preserve America was spending nearly $18 million on a week's worth of ads aiding Trump in 3 battleground states. The rage texts don't seem to have dissuaded Miriam from helping him. The PAC plans to spend $100 million on advertising between now and Labor Day in 7 swing states. Unsurprisingly, Trump is getting major backlash for his gross Medal of Honor comments. A spokesman for the Harris-Walz campaign said, Donald Trump knows nothing about service to anyone or anything but himself. For him to insult Medal of Honor recipients, just as he has previously attacked Gold Star families, mocked prisoners of war, and referred to those who lost their lives in service of our country as suckers and losers, should remind all Americans that we owe it to our service members, our country, and our future to make sure Donald Trump is never our nation's commander-in-chief again. And in response, senior Trump campaign advisor Brian Hughes said, it's outrageous that Harris and her failing campaign have the audacity to claim concern for servicemen and women. He blasted the vice president for being the last one in the room with Biden as they set in motion our disastrous retreat from Afghanistan. Cenk, what do you make of this? I know you've got a lot of thoughts on the Adelsons.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. So there's 2 huge issues here. First of all, insulting the people who won the Medal of Honor. He says, oh, well, they got a lot of bullets or they're dead. Yeah, that's part of why they got the Medal of Honor, because they helped save other people's lives. So you remember the infamous comment about how people who are in our military are suckers and losers? And I know for MAGA guys, they get triggered by that. And they say, oh no, I don't believe any other human being other than Donald Trump. It's not on tape. Even if it was on tape, I tell you it was out of context or a joke or whatever. But he said it to his chief of staff, and his chief, it's not like he said it to some Adam Schiff, and Adam Schiff told us, right? No, it was his own chief of staff, longest serving chief of staff he had. And while the poor guy was standing over his son's grave, and he's a former general, he's not gonna go and, look, I would be very surprised if he lied about a story where he's standing over his son's grave and how he, and he fell in battle. Trump is a maniac, and the problem with him is that he has no empathy, like physically. He cannot feel empathy towards other human beings. So that's why he's like, I don't get it. Why would anybody go to war and then die for someone else? Only a sucker would do that, because he doesn't feel that bond with other human beings. So it's like, to him, it's like saying, would you die over a couch or a rock? He's like, of course I wouldn't. What kind of sucker would die to help a rock, right? He can't feel the same things that we feel, because otherwise no man in his right mind running for president would insult people who got the Medal of Honor and say, oh, so what? They took some bullets or they're dead, they don't need it anyway. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? So again, if you're a Democrat, you love this talk, because this is him punching himself in the face about 7 times in one clip. If you're a Republican, this has got to drive you out of your mind. Yeah, you can go and say, oh yeah, so what? Service members, we don't need them anyway. Oh, no, he didn't mean it. Well, you could make 1,000 excuses. And by the way, I put it up on social media. A lot of Republicans are like, oh yeah, that's based. I hate the military anyway. Okay, interesting turn of events. But go ahead and run on that and see how that turns out for you, okay? So now, let's turn to the Presidential Medal of Freedom that Miriam Adelson got. So I wrote a lot about this in my book, Justice is Coming. You can get a copy at shoptyt.com. We'll put a link down below in the description box. And the reason I wrote a lot about it is because this is a perfect example of corruption. And so the Adelsons wanted a lot of things. So they wanted to make a corruption case they had in China go away, and Trump helped them help that happen. They wanted, most of their money is made in China actually for the Adelsons. Their casinos are in Macau. They have some in Vegas, but the bigger ones are in China. And so they needed to bring that money back. So Trump lowered the tax rate from 35% to 8.5% for the repatriation tax. So, oh my God, they gave Trump, I'm gonna show you the money they gave him in a second. But they got back billions for that. And then they mentioned how, oh, Miriam Adelson, we didn't give her this award because she's a donor. No, it's because she cares so much about Jewish causes. No, what that is they give tons of money on behalf of Israel, not America. And so the Adelsons are notorious for this. They openly say it. And it's so open the mainstream media says it. That's normally, no, you can't say anything about Israel, right? But in this case, Sheldon Adelson, her late husband, said, I want you to move the capital, and I'm gonna give you a ton of campaign contributions and move our capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And by the way, risk a potential giant war in the Middle East. And Donald Trump said, of course, sir, absolutely, sir, I work for you, sir. And then after giving him all the tax cuts and making the corruption case go away and a million other things, the whole thing's in the book. And he throws in the Medal of Freedom as like a tchotchke. Like, oh, here, well, how to give it to your wife, who cares? He makes a joke and a mockery out of our nation. I mean, look, do any conservatives still exist? Because if you were a real conservative, you would loathe what Donald Trump just said and what he did with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. You have any principles left if you're a conservative. So let me show you the scale of the money we're talking about here. So Adelson's donations to pro-Trump super PAC back in 2020, $90 million. And Miriam Adelson has now promised another $90 million this time around. And we did a story the other day about how she's now spending $18 million a week helping to Donald Trump to try to win the presidency. What does she want in return? The corruption cases are gone. She already has super low taxes. Well, papers in Israel reporting that she wants Donald Trump to say it's okay for Israel to annex the West Bank. Just take it, take all of the land, which is a guaranteed war in the Middle East. And not like Gaza's already horrible. No, we're talking about Lebanon, Iran, and many other nations. Iran itself is 4 times the size of Iraq. So she is saying, I want to control foreign policy, not you, okay? I'm going to be the president when it comes to the Middle East. And Donald Trump says, well, how much are you going to give me? Well, let me show you another number. Adelson's donations to Republicans and conservative causes in the 2020 cycle. So this is not just the Trump, it's the Republicans overall. $218 million.
That's so much money, man.
And remember though, they're getting billions back, plus they get US foreign policy, plus if you act now, we'll throw in a Presidential Medal of Freedom. And they did. So if you were a true conservative, this story would enrage you. This is exactly what the swamp looks like. But if you've lost your mind to a cult, then you'll say, oh, everything I believed, I now think the exact opposite because my dear leader told me to.
Well, speaking of the Adelson's influence, one of Donald Trump's his 20 bullet point plan for his campaign policies is to deport pro-Hamas radicals. In other words, deport Palestinian supporters, many or most of which are American citizens. So I don't really know how he's going to deport American citizens, where you're going to deport them to, but this is Donald Trump. A few things. One, I think that what Joe Biden getting out of the race really showed is that maybe we're finally ready to move past the 90s and the 1990s style of doing politics in this country. I mean, look at Kamala's rise, Tim Walz's rise. And one of the funniest things to me is, seeing whether it's Frank Luntz or Tommy Lauren or any of these Republicans go on these outlets and say, Donald Trump should get serious. It's time for him to stop acting like a petulant child. Like, when has he ever not been a petulant child? He's doing the same stuff he's always done. When he said this stuff about the Medal of Honor and the Medal of Freedom, it's just par for the course for Trump. The first thing he said when he came down the escalators was, they're sending their worst people over here. He's still doing that. Oh, look at my Tic Tac cans. And if he's not saying ridiculous things, he's saying, virtually 100% of the new jobs created over the last year were taken by migrants. Like, how is this possible? And more importantly, his petulant childishness is why Republicans like him. Because what is the difference between Donald Trump and any other Republican that they could have gone with in terms of policy? They're all racist. They all are against public education. They're all against the public commons in general. They like his childishness. This is why they like him, because he gets away with everything. He just seems to have all this authority that he didn't earn. Oh, look, the lost cause all over again. Luckily for us, he's continuing to shoot himself in the foot, but I don't know why anyone would expect Donald Trump to miraculously turn this around, because as you point out often, Cenk, he has no strategy. He has no plan. And clearly we see it now because it's 8 years later. He's running his campaign just like Hillary, barely got offices open, not going and campaigning. So, I'm so sick of this guy. And hopefully the rest of the country is too enough so we can just move on. Like, let's just move on from this complete and utter clown that is Donald Trump.
I got good news for you. Avenger Dragon 89, one of our members, said Jackson does a better Trump than I expected. So we at least got that.
Oh, yeah.
We got
Impression King, I guess. Yeah, at least that.
And OG Mountain Dragon said Jorby and Snackson.
Oh yeah, it's a good panel today.
Yeah, good day in America. Love our members. Hit the join button below, become one of them. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.